things, along with protection that clothing provided for people at this time, was a marker of status. Many of us have heard perhaps about sumptuary laws that were in place during Queen Elizabeth's time, just before Jamestown settlement. And these laws were in place to prevent you from dressing above your status, from dressing beyond your means. And they really saw this as a moral issue. They didn't want people spending more than they ought to on clothing and putting themselves into debt. We don't know anything about that today, do we? But it was an economy that often ran on credit, so people would spend more than they had on clothing so that they could look good. Because if you looked a certain way, if you looked like a wealthy person, then perhaps people would see you as a wealthy person and treat you as a wealthy person. And that could help you advance in life. But James I, when he came to the throne after Elizabeth, he did away with all those laws. However, the people of Jamestown knew how important those laws still were, and they kept their own sumptuary laws. They said you weren't supposed to dress above your station in fine clothing, and they ranked this as a crime similar to drunkenness and gambling. So they believed that dressing too fancy was just as bad as wasting money on drink and gambling. So that's how important clothing was to people. We often don't think of it, we just think of it as something to wear, but to the people who came to Jamestown, it was incredibly important to how they saw the world. And by that same token, the people who came to Jamestown, they continued to dress in English clothing. They didn't come and adopt the clothing of the native Powhatan peoples who lived in the area of Jamestown because they didn't want to become savages themselves. If anything, they wanted the native people to dress like them. So we don't see, even in this incredible humidity and heat that they were not used to back in England, they're still wearing all of their layers. They're still wearing all of their wool because that's what a good English person does. Wool was the backbone of the English economy during that time and for centuries after. So wearing wool was patriotic for the English, but it was also very practical because while it will keep you warm, it also helps keep you cool as a natural fiber. It allows your skin to breathe, allows the body to help evaporate sweat. So oftentimes, wearing wool could be cooler than many of the synthetic materials that we have today, such as polyester, which are basically wearing plastic. So they did know something, even though it seems counterintuitive to wear wool in weather such as we're experiencing today.